Hi everyone, welcome. I'm so excited to welcome back Danielle Wickes. I'm going to add you now, Danielle.
Hey,
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm very excited for part 3 of our knotting series. We've done 2 of these classes so far. First one was all about bracelets with silk, and then the second class was also using silk, and we used your technique where you went outside of the bead with one of the cords.
Yep, that's right.
And then, if I'm right today, the new technique is essentially we're going to be making necklaces and knotting on a pendant this time.
Yeah. And the class today will use hemp cord, but you can use other types of cord. You could use the silk. Here's just one example of one that was made using the technique that we're going to do in class today. And I'm going to be working with, again, 10-pound hemp cord.
Awesome. And this is the 10-pound hemp cord that you can find on samsbeachhub.com right now. And we have 3 different of the color packs, but John Bead actually makes a bunch of different,
I think you guys have
a lot of different color packs. We might eventually have to get more, but I have both of those on the site and one more, the pastels, I think.
pastels. Yeah, it looks like this, but it has a gold and yellow in it.
Right. Oh, I love that one too.
I like this one. It's nice.
So I'll let Danielle take it away, and if you want to tell us if there's anything more you want to add, you're welcome.
Yeah, just running down the materials and the supplies. Again, any bead that you can get to fit through your hemp, you can get the hemp to fit through the bead. This technique will work for that. And let's see, you'll just need things like some scissors to cut the hemp. You don't need a needle for this. You can use tweezers to do your knots, or if you don't like using tweezers, you can still form these knots without them. They just help. And then some other optional things to have handy are some measuring tape and just any other embellishments you may want. If you want a clasp, have that handy as well. We will probably show throwing a clasp on at the end of demonstrating how to start. So I'm going to switch my camera and bring over my lights, show you guys the materials up close.
Awesome.
Just switching here to my other camera. How does that look there?
Looks like it's focusing. Awesome.
Great. Okay, and the light's not too glary. I think it's better with, or yeah, better with. Okay. There's also that helps a little bit. Okay, so what I'm showing here on the mat is just a general idea of when you're laying out your design and you are putting together your palette. One of the things I'm going to demonstrate today is how to bring a pendant up and not up the side. And so if you're using the hemp cord that I'm using today, you'll be able to get the strand through all of these beads, no problem. But the color is totally up to you. What color you'd like to use. You can also mix your colors up, like say make one strand that's one color and one strand that's another. So another idea to play with. As for how much length to cut, it's good to give yourself, I think the rule is for every 3 inches you would need 5 inches of cord, but I actually just double it in my head. So I'll say, well, I want my necklace to be, 18 inches long, and then I'll just cut double that. Or you can even cut a little extra. It doesn't hurt to have too much, thread as you're working. So I'm measuring out just enough for what I would like my necklace to be. I'm going to trim that. And so bring your tails together. And again, the length that I've cut here, I started with double what I want my necklace to be in length total. And then I cut 2 strands of that. And so what I'm doing here is I'm laying both of those strands together. Or in other words, 4 times the length that you would like it to be. But what I often do is I cut my first strand to that length, and then I use my strand to measure a second one and cut that. And so bring the ends of the strands together to find the midpoint. Just cutting there. So all 4 of your ends together. And now I found my midpoint for both strands. And so now we're going to make what's called a lark's knot. And so the trick with a lark's knot is the direction you want the front to be, go with the hoop going the opposite, because it's going to come up and over your strands. And even though it will still look cute, no matter which direction you attach this, if you'd like your, the front side of the hoop, the part that goes perpendicular to the strand and looks kind of pretty, if you want that to be on the front, then bring the hoop part from the front to the back. So just like that.
So basically the reason we have 4 strands is essentially we're doing your 2-strand technique and we need 2 strands to go up either side of the necklace. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So I cut one, doubled it, and then cut another and measured it against the first one that I cut.
And then folded both of those in half.
Yeah, to find the midpoint.
Got it.
We brought that midpoint through our pendant.
Awesome. Very clear.
Awesome. Cool. And so I'm going to bring my fingers through the hoop and then just pull all of those strands through the hoop I just made. And then you just tighten it down. I pull each strand individually, kind of like what we did before in the last 2, just to get them to sit nice and tight. And so that's just a lark's knot there. And what I have now are 4 strands. And if I was going to start knotting my necklace, I would just start doing that now, just like I'm going to show a similar technique that leaves a little more space than last week's knot. But before I do that, I want to add some traveling focals up the strand. And I have 2 engineering problems here. The first is that I know I'm only going to be able to get 1 cord through these beads, maybe 2 through this one, but definitely only 1 through that. And that's the one that I've got the vision of it being stacked. So one way you can get around that problem is to choose the strand that you think looks like it's kind of mostly in the front on your lark's knot. Separate it out and have that be the one you bring through the focal. And if you're having any trouble getting your beads through your focals, a couple of things you can do. One, you can wax it. The other, you can just keep moistening it and twisting it in your fingers. And honestly, that's usually what I end up doing. There's also another trick where you can burn. You can burn the end very gently. And I'll show you what that looks like, just in case anybody's having any trouble at this point. But I'm going to singe it in this direction. It's not hot yet, but I'm just going to be doing this above and below. It'll make it kind of a little more, I don't know, it'll stiffen it and it'll stop it from unraveling. You don't want to burn it. You don't want to light it up, but just, here we go. And see, it's made it a little more like a needle. So
Danielle, that looks like a lot of fun.
those burners, they're a bead weaving tool for me that actually ends up being the most amazing thing for knotting. So you guys will see that come up again when we do our macrame next week. It's kind of a lifesaver tool.
And you mentioned to me they're not that expensive, right?
No, no, I think. Don't quote me because I can't remember, but I think they're like $7 to $15 or so.
Oh, nice.
There's lots of different versions. I think they're all pretty good. And so, remember, I'm just on 1 strand here, but I'm going to go ahead and push it up against that lark's knot and set it flat. And this is what the back looks like. Got those strands traveling the back. I'm just straightening them up. You don't have to do that, but just making them look kind of pretty there. And I'm going to do that famous overhand knot that we've been doing for the last 2 classes. I'm going to put one right here. And I do want this one to sit snug, so I'm going to pull the tweezers over here, clipping all 4 strands in there and then tightening it down. There you go. So that'll look pretty familiar to you guys. We've been doing that one for most of the classes there. So that's that tight knot, snug. Here's what the back looks like. So really organic and pretty solid. If you're using a stone like this that doesn't have, that does have a table side, or is going to force the threads to sit behind it, that's a bonus if you're going for this look where the threads are hidden. Okay, and so now I'm going to see how many I can get through this one. Earlier I had luck getting 2 through. I'm going to see if I'm that lucky right now, and if I'm not, I'm going to do the same thing again and just use 1 strand. And I'm just selecting the ones that I think look like they're on the front. It's going to change every time you knot. You won't always know which one is the front one, but so I've got 1 and then 2. Yeah, and so I was able to get 2 through that. 1 would have been okay, but I'm going to go with 2 just because this is a round one, so the thread has that tendency to travel around the stone. But there it is. 2 through, 2 not. And I'm still going to just kind of guide them and ask them to stay back here. Pull that through. Same thing again. I'm pulling all the strands by themselves now. Okay, there we go. And pull them apart. And then I am pulling again in this direction to make everything flat. I might even one more time just pull each strand. Okay, so from here, there's two things you can do. You can add more of these, or you can just start to get an idea for what are the 2 top ones. Again, that's going to be these guys. And then the 2 bottom ones, separating them. This is where I think I'm going to start my necklace to split off. So there are 2 strands here and 2 strands here. Grabbing some scissors. Some gorgeous beads here. The silk just like exploded there. You see that? That's cool.
Which strand are you using today?
Oh, this is tourmaline, 6 millimeter. Let me grab the bag really quick. It is. Here it is right here. It's these guys.
Oh, I remember those.
I love them. They're very pretty. This camera's not doing justice to how gorgeous they are. They're striated colors, and there's a depth to them that looks 3D, like inside the stone.
Totally.
And I don't have any trouble getting these on the hemp. They go right on. But again, if there's any trouble with being a different thickness or not totally sliding, like some of the beads will be different, and some of the areas of the hemp may be larger than other parts of it. Again, trying the burner trick or waxing it. Okay, and so now I'm going to do something a little different with the knots. So on last week's design, we were doing what I just showed, where we were pulling the cords apart. And that makes for some snuggly, knots. There's not a lot of gaps, right? The knot's right up against the bead, and the one above it is the same. But today I'm going to leave space, and it's going to look a lot more organic looking, just freeform.
I'm totally obsessed with that sea glass piece, by the way, if I haven't said that 5 times already.
I'm obsessed with it too.
You sent me that photo, and I just stared at it. Just like, there's so much color. I love it so much.
I love it too. I was excited how well it came out. And like, I really like the texture mixes of like the heishi with the irregular nuggets, and then these kind of like square.
I would have never thought of mixing all those shapes together, like, or even just putting the heishi in this format. I would have stuck with freeform things like the pebbles, but it totally works.
I was kind of like, I wanted the color so much that I decided it needed to be there no matter what shape. And that ended up being better than, if they'd all been kind of the same nuggets. So I didn't plan that. It was accidental, but I really like it.
Yeah, me too. If you're a sea glass lover, I'm gonna have a bunch of new sea glass and restocks going up tomorrow in the group. So make sure you check out tomorrow's New Bead Sunday. I've got a lot of new pendants also.
Yay. That's so cool. So let's see. So that knot, and I'll get to show you guys a few more with the sea glass too, but I'm going to show it here with just a round bead because that might be the most universal. It doesn't matter what the shape of your bead is, but it can make it look different when it's done, if that makes any sense. So a knot made with a round bead may look different than a heishi because, for example, the heishi bead will fold down like that. So that's really the only difference, but there's technique-wise no difference. So I'm going through the hoop and pinching above the bead. And again, this is the same knot we've been doing, but I'm going to skip a step here. After I pull these two, removing the tweezers, I'm not going to pull the strands apart. And that's what we've been doing for all the other ones, even doing all those steps and then pulling them apart to tighten that down. I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to pull one strand at a time, the opposite direction. And it gives me an eye. It looks like a little eye there. Do that a few more times. And also, it doesn't matter what strand you put it on. That's up to you. I don't think you can tell which strand after each knot. Some designers are able to make them stay looking like they're on the same one. So definitely play with that and see what you come up with. But I don't mind if mine dance like that, going from side to side. So I'm flipping, loop, tweezers. And then just pulling them individually. So lots of air on them. Show you guys, what if we brought in a flower? Flowers are a cool shape because they have a front, they can be made to have a front and a back. Again, they're like in a flat coin shape. So I'm going to have it go behind. Just like that. Same knot. I'll do just a few more here, just in case anyone's got any questions. This is a great time to jump in. I'm adding another bead here. I've switched to the other side for symmetry, and just, you know, so you can see it. There's that one. That's really pretty pink bead right here.
Danielle, have you seen all of the projects that people have been posting in Gem Chat?
I have. There's some gorgeous work out there, guys. Oh my goodness. I'm always blown away by everyone's ideas.
Yeah, the creativity with the knotting. It's been so fun to see what everyone's doing with it.
Yeah. There's just so many great ideas, and the beads, the combinations that really fascinates me. Like, oh wow, I wouldn't have thought to put that one with that one. And it's inspiring.
Yeah, Brenda's asking if you've ever introduced buttons.
Yeah. Oh, that would be very, very, very pretty. Actually, funny you should ask that, because next week we're using a flower button. I've got a in progress to share at the end on that. But yeah, a button would be gorgeous in this design. It would be just amazing. And hi, Brenda. All right. Another thought I had for this was adding, you know, some of like little squares, lots of great shapes. We're doing great for time. I'll do one more. And then I was thinking we could show the pendant again on either a piece of sea glass or move on to the fire agate one. Which do you think, Sam?
Oh, that other palette you had sent me, is that the second option there?
Yeah, I have, so I've got, I wasn't sure what time would look like, so I have a backup palette, which is a sea glass
Oh, we have to start that. Oh,
Let's
those.
start that really quick, and then. But
I
I
think
definitely
we
want to.
have time for all of it. Sure, we do.
Sure, we do it. This is how Sam and I were like, yeah, we can do everything. Whenever we get talking. I love it. I'm so jazzed after I called it with this inspiring feelings. I could do all this stuff. I could do it. So cool.
I love that you're mixing the table cuts into this one too.
Yeah, me too. That is one of the things I like with this knotting technique are table cuts because they really clearly keep the other strand like sitting behind it. And so there it is. So you guys get the idea. We would just keep going and do whatever, whatever design you like. It doesn't have to be the same beads or any same, setup that you like. Just try it. I know there'll be some beautiful posts later. I can't wait to see.
Someone was asking about the length you like to make these necklaces in total.
Yes, yeah. So I kind of hinted at the beginning on like an 18 inches for the sides, and it depends if you want it to go over your head. That's kind of the design decision to make right there at the beginning when you're cutting your cord lengths. If you want it to go over your head, you're going to need to cut, enough that you don't need a clasp. So for most people, that's probably like 21 inches is the smallest they would go. You wouldn't want to mess up your hair or anything trying to put the necklace on. But if you're going to use a clasp, you can make it any length that you would like to. So two ways to end these. We were going to show that right after. I need to start this bird one, but I will come back to that when we talk about finishing them up. But just in case anyone wants to see the lark's knot start again, I'm going to pull in either that or the green. Or the dark tail, maybe. Oh, I don't know. It doesn't matter. We'll go with dark since it's easier to see. I'm going to figure out which is my starting point here. So there's this.
Well, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
I was going to make a comment while you were starting to unwrap the hemp about the little birds that you've got there.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think so. These ones are new. Those are coming up in the shop. I sent some over to Danielle to see what she would come up with. And I love that the idea to put it with sea glass, especially the pink sea glass. I think that's such a great idea.
It's gorgeous. Yeah, with that and the teal one. I got one of my inspirations from seeing these together. So that really gorgeous combo there. And then pulling in these other colors. And maybe, more than a couple birds, I was thinking. Sorry, guys, I'm having trouble getting I should have pre-started my hemp, but I think I've got it now.
You want to show us again? Oh, yeah. All right, if you already got it.
I did. Yeah, I got it. This one, they usually come off with that little hook, but I had one that I think I stuck back together myself. Maybe change my mind about a color or something. And so I knotted it because I'm brilliant like that. Okay, got it. Okay. So what I've done is I've cut 2 strands that are double the length that I'd like my necklace to be. So I cut 2 strands that are double the length. And I'm going to match all 4 of their bottoms together. So I can find the midpoint of both strands right there. And once I've got the midpoint, I'll bring it through the pendant and then deciding which one is the front. I think this is the front. So I'm going to go this way through it. Got one side through. This is another spot where if you're having any trouble waxing, it does help, but I wouldn't burn it here because this needs to stay, flexible and malleable. But getting the hoops through is definitely easier when they have like a little bit of wax or something similar. So there's the 2 loops through my pendant. The front of my pendant is on this side, and this is the back of my pendant. Again, that's the front and the back, and I brought the loops from the front to the back. And I'm just going to bring all 4 strands up through those loops and tighten it down. And as you get close, you'll notice that it won't tighten very well, so start pulling 1 strand at a time. And remembering which one is always challenging. Which ones have I not pulled yet? There we go. I think I got them all with that last one. So there's that lark's knot. It's really tight. And I liked the look of it coming up through one of these larger pieces of sea glass.
Oh, that's fun.
But I couldn't get all 4 strands through. So what I did on my last one, I picked up 1 and went through, bring it down, and that same trick where we've got all 4, 1 going through and the other 3 behind it. I'm going to knot that really quickly. So I've pinched all 4 strands here, and I'm going to tighten it. And pull them apart. Not too much movement on that one, but it did get close enough. And there you go. And so all you do from here is choose 2 for one side and 2 for the other. Sometimes I'll try to choose like the ones that look like they're on the top. I'll choose 1 for each side, and then same for the bottom. And then just start knotting. So choose 1 side for speed, put that on there. Or even, I don't know, I mean, you could even put the bird up here and do it the same way and then start knotting the sides. So many ideas. You like that more? Yeah.
I love that idea.
Just thinking that might even be cuter, right? So let's go through this one.
I mean, I think either way would I would love. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the winner. Okay.
Someone was asking about some of these beads. Anastasia, you'll find some of these beads are still on the site, like a lot of the sea glass Danielle's using. Those little cone, those faceted drops that she has on the top left, that's the new shape going up tomorrow. And the birds, maybe I should go ahead and add those to tomorrow too. Why not? Let's do it.
You're welcome, guys. Like, yeah, birds.
I don't see a lot of like pink washes on check these, especially on other colors. I thought those were so unique.
It's just going to be gorgeous. So there's the tulips with it. Yeah. So how are we doing on time? 3:30. Just show one. I'll show 1 or 2 knots, and then we'll show finishing, I think. There we go. So the same thing where I did the overhand, going through the loop, pinching just those 2. I'm gonna pull tightly. 1 strand and the other. I think I have a loose little beam there, but actually, before I pull the tweezers out, go like that. There we go. If you ever get a bad knot and you notice it before, that's a winner. If you notice it after, less cool. Okay, there we go.
Amelia said, oh, sorry, go ahead, Danielle.
Oh yeah, no, I was just reading the same. That looks like it's going to be a new addiction. Yes,
I love that. Me too.
it is definitely, and also not only just addicting, but also really soothing. Like whenever I'm stressed out, I'll just start knotting stuff, and you don't have to think too much about it. You just grab a bunch of colors you like, and there's really no planning needed because there's so many options, right, for getting things to work. But yeah, so there's that one. So let's say that you did all the knotting up to the length that you wanted it to be. And so here's how to end it. You'll take the piece that's the length you like. If it's made big enough to go over your head and you'd like to be done right now and have it be the most organic, flowy thing ever with no hardware, you could just take these two together and do one of our regular knots. And there, you're done. Just a good old overhand knot. If you would like to have something with a clasp, this is just a quick recap of what we did last week. And I'm using the Valley clasps. Those are on Sam's website.
They are. They sold out fast, but just
out?
John,
Oh, no.
too many at this moment. But they said they're going to get more really soon, so
Oh,
I'll have more.
And so I got those on there. This is just one side, but this is the you remember the knot we did last week? That's kind of like a coiled knot, or it's in the handout. It's shown diagrammed, but it's with suede. But it's that same knot. And with this tiny cord, what I like to do is use a tapestry needle. Bring it down. And so I've got this space here, right? And I'm using my tapestry needle and going around that cord. I'm going to go one more time. Oh, and I forgot to say one part that was important. So you've done this much, right? You got the tapestry needle here. You want to wind from below up. So wind in this direction. And I just didn't do that right. So I'm going to start again. And I think that's what went wrong with my knot last week is I coiled from the top to the bottom and then tried to pull my coil through the other way. There we go. So now I'm going to bring the tails through the needle here. And what I'm pinching under here is that coil that goes from the bottom to the top. It's going over the tapestry needle and over the core of thread that we have in here. So just bringing that through. Okay. And so to bring it closer, you just pull this way. And it ends up being a little bit adjustable. Hemp is harder to move around on the cord, I think, but it also is a little less likely to wiggle on you, so that's good too. But there's one way you could do it, and if you ever end up with like a gap you don't like, you could always add another bead here and then do another knot here. But it's adjustable and you can always play around with that. So just wanted to show that as an option. Mostly on mine, when I make them this long, I tend to either end them with just that overhand knot or I add suede, which we also covered last week. So if you like that look, you can just refer to last week's class for how to do that. So there's 3 ways to end it. And looks like we're doing really great on time, which is great because there's another exciting palette that we were sending messages this morning about. So it all started with this pretty sun charm. And then these donuts. So that was the beginning of the idea. And then the medium. I really wanted to have those. It's so visible on my camera here.
This is the opal.
Yeah, that's the fire opal. And then I thought, hey, this is going to be awesome. So pull this out. That's the main connector here. And then this beautiful, like, I think this is glass, right? Or is it porcelain? I wasn't sure what it was.
It's
porcelain.
Yeah, that's part of the Greek collection. That's ceramic, and then they coat it in metal, I believe, first before they put on the glaze.
Oh, okay. This one is really cool. I really like it a lot. It's so pretty. And so I started going with this theme of agates and opals, but I wanted some sparkles, so I brought in those guys.
Oh, I see this. That's the cider shimmer.
Yep, the shimmer. And now we need texture, right? Whenever you're making these, it's cool to mix texture, size, and color. So some flowers for texture. I don't know, so that was the idea. And we all saw how to do the lark's knot. I'm going to throw it on this one really quick. But then I was stumped. I was like, how am I going to get this to attach to this? So I did what any good designer would do, and I called Rachel Mellis because I figured she would know. So we have a surprise for you guys today. I'll let Sam tell you while I uncoil this awesome hemp cord here.
Yeah, I don't think Rachel's popped on quite yet, but Rachel is going to pop on to do mix in a little wire work to our knotting.
So heads up there's a surprise wire project in here. We'll see, because I had to see this palette together. So I'm doing the same thing off camera here. I'm cutting strands that are double the length I'd like them to be. And then cutting 2 of those. And then I'm just bringing them together. All 4 of the ends. Just like that. And finding my center point. And so with something like this, one cool thing is to just go through it. Bring those tails through. Get a cool arch knot going there. And so this DZI agate has one of the large holes. So bonus, I can just get all my cords through it. I don't have to do any of the, multi-strand knots. Or outside strand knots, if that makes any sense. I'm just going to bring that through. And that looks really cool. It's very organic looking. It's just so pretty. And because it's got a large hole here at the top, I want my knot to be pretty big. Good news is I have 4 strands here. Overhand knot. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, and then pulling the strands apart. Going to be a little tighter. I hope that's not super loud when I drop the tweezers. It might be really loud next to the camera here.
No, it's all good.
Awesome. Okay. And so that's a start. Design choices now is, does it need a flower on top? I have to see it. I think that's my top one here. Yeah, I think that's gorgeous. The other thing that could happen is one of the opals could go, or another, like a 10 millimeter gemstone would be perfect.
Yeah, I mean, the pendant art is pretty long, right? Because we're about to add on the other stuff to the bottom of the ring.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was thinking like maybe in place of a flower,
Hmm.
but I've got the flower on, so I'm gonna go with it.
Oh, I like it.
It just lots. There's just so many ideas, and
Yeah, you could literally do anything. I love this.
it's really fun. Yeah. And so then all I would do is start stringing, split the strands. I'm gonna get some of these opals off here. And flowers. I can add flowers up the chain too. That would also look really neat. But start with one of these. Another really, really beautiful stone. They look like little planets. And so I've got it on one strand. Split them into two here. And I'm going to do another one of those kind of loose, like knots with space. So same process to begin with. Getting the bubbles out of the knot. And then just pull them apart. A little bit of space. So I switched to the other side, and now I'm stringing on a fire polish bead. All right. I don't know. I thought maybe this would look cool as kind of like a maybe alternating sizes on either side. So then I put a fire polish here.
Right.
Let's show that knot one more time here.
I have a total aversion to like regular like to standard, basically to patterns themselves. Like what I find myself much more drawn to, like, oh, I'll do 3 opals and then a check bead and then an opal and then a check bead, because then I feel like then you can't, and then if there's an error in the pattern, it doesn't matter because there was no pattern in the first place.
That being the bonus right there.
Right.
I can't say how many things I've had a symmetry to and then not stuck to it. And then, and then I have to restart because I made a mistake. But I definitely like the look of kind of asymmetrical, more texture interest, I guess. And I might even pull in one of these flowers again. But these are definitely ways to use up a lot of beads that you have that you wanted to see together, but weren't sure what, format they would look good in. And this is one really great thing to try.
And whenever you're ready, Rachel said she's ready to pop on.
You ready? Oh, I'm ready. Yeah.
All right, you good, Rachel? All right, I'm gonna add you.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Rachel. How are you?
Hi.
I'm okay. I have a kind of like a stomach virus today, but
Oh no.
keep going.
Rachel, feel better.
Huh?
Feel better. I'm sorry.
We'll be okay. I made the mistake of eating because I thought it would be better, but it wasn't. So,
For those that don't know, Rachel has taught almost 20 wire classes for the shop. So I think that's why Danielle was like, thought maybe we should call up Rachel for this wire connection idea she had.
I'm like the wire fairy. I don't know.
Yeah.
So you could have taught anything together.
I like to play with it. I think it's fun coming up with new ways to do it. Just how like a few weeks ago, Danielle was I'm sure she's done it but I was thinking of somebody had asked her something. Oh, it was you. You couldn't fit your beads through, so she was trying to troubleshoot it for you. Yeah. So it's fun for me to like, because it's wire is my main medium. I've been working in it for 17 years, so yeah, it's fun to play with. So Danielle came to me for the challenge. Sorry, my audio has been cutting in and out, and I had to call work because I think I'm getting a fever. But that's
oh my god,
a whole other thing.
Oh man.
So I didn't hear if you like told them the conundrum or not, but did you tell them like what you wanted to attach already?
Yeah, I showed them this earlier. The original idea that I sent your way, and you had a bunch of ideas, and they were all, I liked them all.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I totally thought that the sun was like a drilled bead. So my ideas weren't as great as I thought they were, but I had an idea for the wire. I think that would be fun. I was like beating along with you a little bit, so my project is not anywhere near done, but I do have a little bit of a project. The charm I chose, I don't know if it goes with it, but it'll be good enough to show. So what I'm especially excited about is that I found a way to incorporate the tapestry needle into this part too.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I have an overhead set up too, right, Sam? It's connected or no?
I think you have to click enter broadcast studio.
Oh.
No rush. We're all just hanging today.
Okay. Did I?
Danielle,
I like forgot to enter. Okay.
it's all good. Oh, I see you now. Alrighty.
Yeah. Okay. What just happened? Oh no. What did I do? Am I still there?
Yeah, you're there.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. I'm not the best with technology. Anyone who's familiar with me knows that. I did just get a new laptop though, so it will no longer sound like I'm trying to land like a helicopter or something while we're on the lives. So unfortunately, I think all of these beads are not things that Sam has in the shop, but this is the vibe I was feeling. I feel like I got it from you like forever ago or somewhere. And then these were the carved jades, and this is a bone piece. And I like came up with my own knotted way to put that one. I'm not sure if it's working yet, but so for the charms, I thought it would be cool to kind of wrap the wire like pretty. Look how good this camera is. I got it.
That's really good.
Just in case. I'm so excited about all of it. I'm one of those people, like my laptop was 8 years old. My phone was old. But anyway, so I thought it would be cool to number one, wrap the wire to where we've got some movement, just like the knots do. A lot more stiff than knotting materials, as I'm sure we all know. And then I also kind of wanted to wrap it up enough to where it was almost like mirroring the knots. So it all went together. I'm using copper for this. I probably would use a blackened one, but this is a lot easier to see on a camera for sure. So I will show you what I did. I'm going to cut this off. Danielle also had a briolette charm, or like a briolette that she wanted to hang on there. And I wanted to ask if anyone needs me to show how to wrap those again. Since we're going to be putting it on anyway, I did not want to grab one out, but I have 1,000 of them everywhere, so that will not be a problem.
You can show a quick one.
Okay, so we're going to do the charm first, though. I'm using, well, I have two wires. I'm going to use 24 gauge. It's easy enough to wrap, but it's got some, this is 26 though, so I did have the right one before. It's easy enough to wrap, but it's also going to give it a little bit more volume than like 26 gauge would. And it kind of depends on how big the item you're wrapping is that you need, how much wire you need. Sorry, words. Y'all are like the first people I've talked to today, besides my boyfriend.
Now we could be with you, Rachel.
Yeah, I mostly just stayed in bed. But okay, so I'm gonna wrap this, but oh wait. I couldn't find my tapestry needle though, that's the only caveat. So this is a really thick piece of wire. And the reason I'm using it is so that we keep that movement, because otherwise it's gonna be really hard to keep the wire from getting too tight. Except for, I dropped it. Okay, so I'm just gonna wrap my wire through like, really however many times you want. I'm gonna do 4 so that there's 4 little loops. And the nice thing about having the needle or the thick piece of wire or literally whatever you want to put under there, you could put a noodle under there. That's a perfect hack. Anyone who doesn't have a tapestry needle, you can use spaghetti. Would that work for the knotting, Danielle? This is what you guys were missing from me, all of the craziness.
Oh my god.
Rachel will say anything. So anyway, so I've got it around here 4 times. And so now we've got that little bit of movement. I'm going to take one of the strands of wire. And I'm going to go underneath these just to keep them all together. And just, you want to do this part kind of gently. You could do it while the needle is still on there or whatever. And then I'm going to wrap the one that I didn't just loop under. Sorry, I keep getting out of the camera. And I'm just going to kind of messy wrap it around a bunch. But not too much because we still got the other one to do. And then I'm going to cut it off. I have to say, these beadle on pliers I have really been liking.
Oh, do they send those to you for the competition?
They sent me round nose and chain nose, and they also sent me these cutters. The cutters are decent, but the round nose and chain nose pliers are great. I really like them, and the tips on these round nose are like as small as my tiny ones. They're not as, but with the tiny ones, because they're littler, they work better on thicker gauge wire than these do, because these have such a long nose, it's harder for them to grip it. But anyway, so we've got this, and then we're gonna bend it at the 90 degrees and make a loop. I just thought it would be nice to have this little structured element to hang the charm on. This is one of Sam's Greek metal whale tails. I said the end of that sentence and the beginning at the same time. And then I'm just going to grab the loop. You can use your chain nose or your round nose for this. And I'm going to just keep messy wrapping it. You could probably use 22 gauge for this as well. If you use something like 20 gauge, I would probably, I don't know, maybe not wrap it around as many times. That's pretty thick.
Isn't Whale Tales a movie?
I don't know.
Maybe. For me.
Maybe like a kid's movie. I don't know. That's a kid's movie I've not seen though. You know how I always watch kid movies, Sam? There's a girl at work with 3 little girls, and I've been recommending movies to her, and she's like, "We want all of your movie recommendations."
Danielle, do your boys have you watch movies with them?
Yeah, we like to watch a lot of the Pixar right now.
Yes.
So there's that. Sorry. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Which Pixar did you watch recently?
Oh gosh, we watch Cars a lot, over and over, all of them. The new one we just watched was Soul.
That was good.
When we saw
WALL-E and The Incredibles have always been like my favorite go-to Pixar movies.
I started WALL-E the other day because you said something about it, Sam, but I'm one of those people that will watch like 5 things at once, and then I stopped and I put something else on. I don't remember. Oh, you know what? I think it was an investigation discovery show. I think I was feeling murder.
Different vibe.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to use a huge brio for this so everyone can see it really well. I think that'll be good. Maybe not. I feel like that's not an accurate representation of wrapping a brio. So I'm gonna use a tiny one because I'm reorganizing all my bead boxes. So nothing is where it usually is. I'm still doing it because I decided to buy more. All right, so we use one of these. Ooh, one of these. These are fun.
I like that one.
These are the carnelian brios you had, Sam. They have such nice points. So there's a couple things I want to talk about when we talk about brio wrapping, if you're not familiar with it. The first thing you want to know is what wires will fit through it. You don't want to shove your wire through it. You want something that there's still some space on either side, because they have like these little tapered points. So when you go to wrap it, you're going to put a little bit of stress on it. And if the wire just barely fits in there, you're going to break it. As someone who has broken many stones they wish they still had, definitely listen to your stone. Don't put a wire in it that's too big. So it actually looks like that 24 gauge wire is going to work pretty well for me with how big this brio is. You could also use 26. I use 26 on a lot of brios. It generally works with them. So I'm going to put this through the hole. And this is just one way of wrapping it. There's another way where you can like go up through and like cut the extra tail. And it just doesn't work as well for me. So we're going to do this way. I'm trying to get the light good. I didn't have time to play with my lights because I was doing everything else. Anyway, so I put it through. And then what I like to do is I like to pinch the wires. So I just use my fingers and I pinch them. You could use your pliers if you wanted. And then at this point, I'm going to take the smaller tail and I'm just going to wrap it as close to the tip as I can get, just to kind of, number one, to stabilize that. You don't want to make your wrapping too tall, otherwise it's just going to look kind of long. So if you're able to get the top of the brio in that little wrap, that would be awesome. But if not, it's totally cool if you just have like a little bit right here. The main point of this first wrap is just kind of to get rid of this so that your wire is not going anywhere. I'm going to tuck it though, because you do want everything to be pretty good and tight on here. And then you're going to decide which way you want it to hang on whatever you're hanging it on. This way, I think it's going to be fine for me to just bend the wire and have the loop go this way. But on some designs, you might want the loop to go side to side. So just be conscious of that when you're wrapping. So I bent the wire. I just bent it right to where my this part ends, because when you go back to wrap over it, it's going to go, it'll be, I can't think of the words. Sorry. It'll look better. If you do it like all the way up here, the wrapping's going to be very long and it might look a little bit overextended. So just bend it and then bring the wire over, adjust the loop a little bit. So when I do my bends, I put my pliers, I bring the wire over, and then I move my pliers a little bit to keep the wire going. And that way it just helps the loop be a little bit rounder. So I'm going to grab it. You can use your chain nose or your round nose. I'm going to start wrapping. You might have to like move your brio back just to keep it from going anywhere. You'll get it. If you're new to brio wrapping, I think it is probably better if you start with 24 gauge. It's a little bit stiffer, and I think it will be a little bit easier than the 26 gauge where you've got to like mess with it a little bit. So I've got that, and then my wire is a little bit too short, but that's okay. I'm gonna bring it back up, and I'm gonna twist it over the top. You don't have to do this. You can start it up at the bottom, but I think that I like how it looks better when I tuck it in at the top as opposed to the bottom. I'm just gonna cut it and then tuck it in. Another benefit of doing it this way is that you get this like pretty little sash on it. Like it's like a prom queen brio. So I'm gonna go back in with the 24 gauge wire, and we can wrap it. You miss me, Sam?
It's been too long.
Rachel.
This is also just like a little surreal for me because I'm just like, oh my god, everyone's on.
Where's Lynn? Okay, so I think it'll be a little bit trickier with my other charm currently on here, but we're gonna wrap it anyway on here. So I think I'm gonna wrap it exactly how I wrapped the whale tail charm. Now you could have put both of them on there when you were initially wrapping this on if you wanted to, but I was under the impression, Danielle, you wanted them separate. So I'm gonna do it like that. So I'm gonna get my wire back on here. And I'll probably do these both like at the same time if you had pre-wrapped your brio, unlike me. And then the like needle could have been under both of them, but yeah, my stone is really kind of irregular in size too, so this keeps them from just being stuck in one place super awkwardly. Okay, so I've got my wire wrapped around, and then I'm gonna I only did 3 times. Was that 3 or 4? No, it's 4. You could have also slipped your wire in around like this through while the needle is still on. I'm calling it a needle, but this is just my huge piece of wire. And then what I did was I wrapped, the tail is too small on this one. Ooh, hands are really shaky. Okay. So there's that. And then I'm going to make my loop for my brio. And once you get the initial little wraps here, you can take your pliers off. The main point of having them on there is just so you don't undo your little loop that you've made. So there's that. And then I'm going to just messy wrap so it looks like a knot. I know a lot of y'all out there have like an aversion to messy wraps, and here are my tips for messy wraps. Because I know a lot of people are like, I love how they look, but I can't do it. And my tip is that you need to just not look at it while you're wrapping it. Get it to a spot where you feel confident that you'll stay on there, and then just look away and like go like, and Robin says she loves the Rachel wrap. Thank you. Okay, perfect. So there we go. I think it would look pretty with another brio on mine too. This is a really big pendant. I was trying to knot it so it would stay up here, and then I don't know what happened. I might put some glue on it. But now I've got these charms on the side. So.
I love that you had it horizontal. I thought that was intentional.
Oh, this way?
I think that is like so fabulous.
Maybe I'll keep it this way. I don't know. I wanted it, I don't know. I just wanted it long. But I think it wants to be horizontal, so maybe that's meant to be. It's got this like little ridge in it and everything for horizontal. So, but I think it looked pretty with another brio too. Do you want me to show the brio wrapping again, or are we good?
I think we're good. I think because I wanted to switch back to Danielle for our last couple minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for showing. I love that we're mixing mediums now. That's really fun.
Yeah, that was so fun. That's like, Danielle was like, I'm sorry, I didn't know you're sick. I'm like, no, this is fun. This is fun. We're good. Yeah. We're good. I can do 10 minutes. We're good.
Yeah. These are Rachel's lights, by the way. She really does.
Oh.
All the lights on.
I have my lighting fixture in my Brooklyn apartment is a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling. That is the light fixture they gave me. So if anyone's ever like, your lighting is bad, I have 4 lamps and I have 4 lamps. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's still dark. So I'm trying.
Well, thank you so much, Rachel. I really appreciate it.
And I made one along with you. I'm probably going to redo the one on the right, but I was able to follow.
Can you show it in overhead?
Oh,
there
yeah.
we go.
I don't know if it's easier to see that way or if I could put it back in the other camera, but I like it. And I do feel like it needs maybe, I don't know. I'll have to play with it, but I like that it has, you know, maybe this one needs to be in bent a little more down. You know, so it hangs underneath. But
yeah, but it's still got movement. You use the needle?
Yeah, I did.
Awesome.
Yeah. I followed along and used my tapestry needle.
Perfect. Yeah, I definitely had a tapestry needle at one point in time. It's not in the drawer it's supposed to be in.
Yeah, especially if you're organizing. I don't organize because then I'll never find a thing in my entire studio.
I just remembered where it is.
Oh,
it's
good.
with my book binding stuff. You know, from all the book binding I do.
Right, of course. Alrighty. Feel better, Rachel. Go rest up.
Thank you. Thanks all for having me.
Bye, Rachel.
Bye.
Oh my goodness, that was so fun.
That's really cool. I'm probably going to redo this one, but I like the way I just love it. So thank you, Rachel.
So is there anything else you wanted to show today, Danielle?
I think that's everything. It was just that, you know, that same technique, and then maybe just quickly introduce next week's project.
Yeah, go ahead. Do you prefer overhead, or is this fine?
Oh yeah, I can switch to my overhead.
Literally whatever is good for you. I just wanted to
I think it might be easier to see it this way. There we go. And a little dark on this board, but this is a clipboard. So for next week, a clipboard, any beads you like, a couple cards of silk. And if you're new to macrame and you have some knotting cord handy, knotting cord is easier to learn on, and I might demo the first couple times with the knotting cord, just so everyone can really see those knots. But here it is with silk, coming out really pretty.
Oh, I love it. There was one question I wanted to make sure from earlier that I didn't think I got a chance to ask yet. Someone was asking about attaching a pendant that had a loop at the top versus
going through the pendant.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the sun, like the charm kind of.
Essentially.
It would be the same process. You'd still bring a loop, the 4 cords together, find the midpoint, bring that loop through the ring, and then pull the 4 cords through that loop and tighten it.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Alrighty, very awesome. That was so fun. I hope everyone else was as inspired just by this like hodgepodge of, or just this like, there's just so many different creative ideas today. So I hope everyone just walks away with something that, even just one piece that they really want to try, of all of the different palettes you showed, or the melding of wire work and hemp, or any type of knotting really. And show us what you make in the Gem Chat group, which I always post a link to at the end of class. And this is where you can share your creations. So thank you so much, Danielle. I'm really looking forward to the last class next week.
Next week. Me too. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing all this with us. We're so appreciative, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you. You too. Have a great weekend.
Alrighty. Bye, everyone. Wishing everyone a great weekend.
Yeah. Wishing you guys a great weekend as well.